our new series of recordings called What's Normal. These look at what we expect in physical and emotional development for children between the ages of 2 and 11. For those of you who have not come across us before, I'm Sam. I'm the Clinical Director here at Standing in the Gap. Standing in the Gap is a small charity which started in 2017. We're what's called an early intervention mental health charity. This means we work with children and families before they hit crisis and while they are having wobbles and concerns. Our vision is that every child is emotionally healthy and able to flourish. We support preschool and primary age children and help them manage the big emotions such as fear, anxiety, anger and grief. Our mission is to build emotional wellbeing in children by providing tools and support to children and families. We're a small charity based in Oxfordshire and have been fortunate to get a grant from the Coronavirus Support Fund, which is distributed by the National Lottery, to enable us to make this resource. However, if you found this series useful, please do make us a donation to enable us to continue to make these resources. You can do this via our website using the donation button or text SITG and the amount to 70085. If you'd like to support us regularly, please look at our supporters page on the website for full details. Your support can really help make a difference to children and families. Prior to starting Standing in the Gap, I carried out some research in 3 schools in Banbury in Oxfordshire. This looked at parents' and teachers' views on support for children with mental health distress or difficulties. One of the really clear themes that came out from this research was that parents told us that they didn't really know what normal was. So they weren't sure if it was a problem, or what was a phase, or what was normal for that age. They also told us they wanted to know what were classed as the red flags or concerns, things that they shouldn't ignore, and when they should ask for help. Finally, they told us they didn't know where to go for help, so wanted all this information. We wanted to respond to those concerns and have some generic advice about how children develop, what factors influence all children's development, and what behaviour is a concern or what we class as a red flag. We also wanted to give some really clear information on where to get help. Following on from this, we will look at the children from the ages of 2 to 11 individually and see what's going on, looking at their physical and emotional development and what is normal for that specific age. And at the end of each, I have a section on what can help and actually help with their development. One of the things that parents often ask is, when should I ask for more help for my child? I'd recommend, if you see any of the following behaviours, you have a conversation with your child's school or your GP about getting your child assessed, as they will probably need some more support. If we pick things up early, they can be supported. Behavioural changes don't necessarily mean an underlying significant issue, but they're unlikely to go away on their own. So red flags or behaviours that are a cause for concern include a change in behaviour. A normal, happy child becomes withdrawn, quiet, tearful, or you see changes in sleeping habits. A regression in behaviour, so losing a skill that they've already achieved or mastered. This could be they started wetting the bed, or being wet during the day, they're not sleeping, or they're showing less self-care activities than they were before. In school-age children, some of our concerns include appearing low or disinterested, a lack of interest in normal activities or withdrawing from activities they've previously enjoyed can be a concern. Expressing negative views about themselves constantly, not just the situational reaction of, oh, I'm such an idiot, I can't do your maths homework or don't understand things, but instead you're seeing regular negative views about themselves. Any expressions of not wanting to live or carry on living should be classed as a concern. A significant change in weight, either that's a gain or a loss, are a concern. Any obsessions around what they eat, where or how they need to keep clean, bringing in repetitive routines or very fixed routines can be a concern. Any self-destructive behaviours that aren't a one-off in temper, so things like headbanging, scratching themselves, pulling their hair or harming themselves physically, can be a concern. Also, anything as parents that worries you, that you're concerned about, that you need to have a conversation with a professional. So who do I go to for help? If your child is under 5, you can contact your health visitor. If they're at primary school, contact your school health nurse. Both can help support you in your child's development. Here at Standing in the Gap, we're in the process of applying for grants to be able to support more families one-to-one. So please do check out our website and see where we are at and what support we are able to offer. Please try not to Google concerns, as child mental health issues are complex and need to be properly assessed and managed. Also, on the other extreme, don't ignore it. If you're seeing some of the concerns mentioned above, please do ask for help. The earlier you get the help, the better it is for you and your child. We all want children to be able to be emotionally healthy and able to flourish. So how do children develop? Just before we go into the age-specific development, I want to look at a few key issues that impact all children. What we need to remember is children do develop at different rates to each other, so try not to compare. Not all 3-year-olds or all 8-year-olds behave the same. Factors other than development have an impact, as we'll look at in a moment. However, all children do go through development stages, and you learn the basic skills and then build on the more advanced skills. And generally these skills develop in the same order, as each skill builds on the next. So children develop primarily physically, emotionally and socially. A delay in one area can cause a delay in another area. So for example, if there's a delay in language skills, this often impacts the behaviour as the child struggles to communicate and have the big feelings that they're having. The environment a child is in has a huge impact on them. Are they getting age-appropriate stimulation with toys, books, interaction with others? Are their basic needs being met? Do they feel safe and loved? Are there any concerns about physical or emotional neglect? Or any significant conflicts within the house that's going on? As all of these have an impact on the environment the child is in and also on the development. It's a little bit like growing a plant. If you give it enough light, water and the right soil, it flourishes. If you don't, the plant's growth is stunted. Children are the same. They need a good environment to be able to flourish physically and emotionally. Birth order also affects, same as with environment, where the child fits within your family has an impact on their development. Are they the eldest and independent, wanting to be grown up? Or are they the youngest, the baby, the one who everybody helps and does things for? Often these family roles stick with us throughout life. Temperament also has an impact on how children respond and react to situations. If you've ever wondered why you can have two children that are so different, do watch our temperament video, available on the Understanding Your Child part of our website. And there's lots of tips there that can be really helpful in managing children slightly different due to their temperament traits. Another aspect is brain development. We know that by the age of 3, your child's brain is 90% of its adult size. However, there's so much to learn and so much development. We know that brain development can take between 25 to 30 years to grow a fully functioning adult brain. We know our brains grow significantly at 2 specific times. First 3 years and again during the teenage years. And during these times, the brain soaks up lots of information and makes millions of new brain connections. To help your child make sense of the world, it's really important to talk to them. Explain to them what's happening, what you're doing, and also what you want them to do. Please do see our resources on managing change in the Understanding Your Child section of the website. It's got a whole useful bit of information on explaining things and how you walk children through different stages. Secondly, let them know that they are loved and safe. Thirdly, give them a framework to help them understand and process things. Neurobiologists and cognitive psychologists tell us that between 40 and 95% of what we do is habit. So it's worth building in good routines with your child. This can include anything from cleaning their teeth, sitting at the table to eat, or reading books together before they go to bed. By building in patterns, it helps children place activities when initially they can't tell the time. Really important to say that the information in these videos is a guide. If you are concerned about your child's development, whether that's physical or emotional, it's really important you get somebody to review you in person. So in summary, for this first bit, what we've looked at is what behaviours are red flags and need further assessment and shouldn't be ignored. We've looked at where you can go and get help from. We've also looked at what factors affect all children's development. So we said that they're building blocks, one part to another. A delay in one area impacts another area. Environment has an impact, temperament has an impact, and brain development has an impact. We're now going to move on to look at the specific age and consider what's normal physical development, what's normal emotional development, and also what we can do to support development. When we look at 4-year-olds' physical development, what we tend to see is they have a good sense of balance and can walk along the line. They can catch, throw and kick a ball. They can run up and down steps, usually going 1 foot per step. They can ride a bike or a tricycle with skill. Toileting, they generally can toilet themselves in the day, but may need help wiping their bottom. Most are dry at night, however around 1 in 5 won't be dry between 5 and 6. If you are concerned, do look at the eric.org.uk website for more information. It's an Our Useful Resource tab. They can draw a figure that represents a person, head, legs and body. They get the idea of starting to copy letters and can make a cross. They listen to and can tell long stories and are usually able to repeat nursery rhymes. They love acting and imaginary play and sometimes can be very bossy in their play. They should be able to eat skillfully with a knife, fork and spoon. They can wash and dry their hands and brush their own teeth, but may need supervising to make sure it's done properly. On average, they need around 11.5 hours of sleep in 24 hours, and usually this is all at night. They normally don't have sleep in the day, but often when starting at primary school, it's not unusual to need a quick cat nap at some point to keep them going. When we look at the emotional development of 4-year-olds, we know that they often show sensitivity to others if they're hurt or upset. The ability to empathise or put themselves in someone else's shoes is starting to increase. They have a sense of humour and love silly jokes. If they're naughty, they can blame others or say it wasn't them. 4-year-olds like to be independent and can be strong-willed, although you will always get some who are very happy for "Mummy, do it." There are those who need a nudge into independence and those who need a break. Some would happily have you tying their shoelaces and making their sandwiches until they're 35. Do watch our temperament traits video to see different temperament traits that make up children. Most 4-year-olds enjoy playing with other children and use their play to work out reasoning and imagining. 2 things frequently seen in play are big and little and good and bad, and they use play to determine the balance between dependent and being independent. They still sometimes struggle to share and can be quite possessive over any favourite toys. 4-year-olds have very big feelings, and you may see a return to the 2-year-old stubbornness, but they're a little less aggressive than they were at 2. Sometimes being aggressive with words and name-calling and showing off. Your child is starting to understand danger and knows when to stay away from dangerous things. 4-year-olds are also starting to learn social skills. So, will nose pick, tell tales and everything else without a problem because they haven't quite worked out it's not the way forward. They have a sense of past and future, and when told in a little while, they want to know how long. They can struggle to identify time in relation to events and often aren't lying when they say something happened yesterday or earlier. The most common fear at this age is the fear of the dark, and they can benefit from a night light and may want you to look under the bed and check the cupboards for monsters. Do encourage this as it can help manage their fears, but if the big person joins in, often the 4-year-old thinks that it is something very frightening. At 4, threats of the bogeyman or a monster coming to get you are not helpful. So what can help 4-year-olds' development? One of the big changes that happens mainly at 4 years old is that your child starts primary school. There is a lot to this, and it's really worth watching out Understanding Your 4-year-old and Getting Them Ready for School video, which is available through our website. This looks at specific hints and tips for this age group and also how to help them manage the change of starting a new school. One of the other things that can help is introduce a new feeling each day. Use pictures, words and gestures. The more feelings they understand, the better hooks they have to explain how they're feeling. When doing jobs in the house, encourage your child to do a small part on their own, such as empty a bin or put plates in a dishwasher. Start to encourage independence by letting them make a basic sandwich or choose their own clothes. With this, you have to choose your battles. If they decide they want to wear welly boots and a tutu, just roll with it. Take photos of them later, and at some point they will be mortified by their attire. Do encourage games and activities that involve sharing. Have some clear routines for your days and your weekends so they can understand what will happen next. Do try and have a reading or a quiet time each day, and limit screen time before bedtimes. Play the who, what and where game. Ask about who works in a school, what is in the school and where is it, and expand on each of these answers with more questions. Do encourage your child to learn their full name, their address and a telephone number, and make it into a singing or a rhyming game, asking them to repeat it back to you at different times. Most of all, really enjoy your child as a 4-year-old. Try not to keep saying to them, when you're bigger, when you can, at this point, as time goes really past really quickly. So enjoy them while they're 4.